Hi guys, Peter here. Welcome back to Thailand Bound. Okay, so today's video is in response to a comment that was left on my channel last night or yesterday. Nothing negative, nothing derogatory. It's just the thoughts on a guy who's written these comments, and I thought it'd be a good subject to make a video about today. Maybe you can add your comments at the end of the video and tell me what you think.
สวัสดีค่ะ
So it all boils down to a video I made quite a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, and the video was called something like Changes I've Seen in Pattaya over the last 25 years or 26 years, something like that. And there was nothing negative. I wasn't sort of saying Thai people have changed, it's not as friendly, things like that. I wasn't saying anything like that. All I was trying to compare, I was trying to give people an idea of what Pattaya used to be like 25 years ago as opposed to what it's like today. For example, one of the things I said was the infrastructure is a lot better than it was 25 years ago. They've developed the roads and the paths, and they're still a little bit uneven in places, but it's a lot easier to get around, and that's the kind of example. And he wrote a comment, left it on the channel, and it was kind of, he must have watched this video, 25 years of change in Pattaya, and he's obviously written this comment. So what I'll do is I'll read this out, and then I'll give you my thoughts on what he's written, and then at the end of it, perhaps when you've watched the video, you can leave your comments. I won't respond to them all, but it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. We'll try and keep it friendly. Let's not, if you do leave comments, don't start leaving derogatory comments and telling this guy how wrong he is. That's not what the channel's about. We're just discussing general bits and pieces. So let me read this out first, and then you can, I'll give you my thoughts on it. So it starts off, it says, "Hi Peter, I agree with most of what you say here, but I'm not sure Hua Hin is a solution." Now, if you remember in that video, sorry to interrupt, but I always say that I like Hua Hin because it's a lot more charming than what Pattaya is these days. But maybe a step in the right direction. Thailand is all over. It is just too damn expensive now. Pattaya has lost its charm and should now be the land of the bar and not the land of smiles. Even my favourite boutique hotel is starting to lose its charm due to the rudeness and lack of interest from the check-in staff. The friendly chit-chat has been replaced by wear your credit card, and only if they can get off their phone long enough will they check you in. So I guess my mission is to try and find the next Pattaya as it used to be. I believe that will be another beach in another country. So let's start the search. Where will the next beach paradise to transform us back to Pattaya in 1999? So I don't think you'll ever find it, actually, because yeah, Pattaya has changed. It isn't the same as when you first went in the 90s, but then everywhere's changed. As an example, even the UK. When I grew up in the UK, people respected elders, they respected the police, there were no drugs around, or very few. We didn't hear about drugs. People didn't lock their doors, there was a lot of trust. Crime was only mostly in the big cities. Nowadays in UK, even small market towns are riddled with drugs, crime. You wouldn't dare leave your door unlocked. So as an example, the UK has changed, everywhere's changed. There's a lot, if you're looking for another town, to replace Pattaya, I think the only place you're going to find it really is in Thailand, because it's just the charm of the people. I know, people, they make videos and say, the Thais can be vicious and, they can be rude. But you've got to remember, in a place like Pattaya, you can't take Pattaya as a typical Thai destination. Ask any of the guys who are living there, who live outside the tourist bubbles. The Thais they are very charming, they're very helpful, they don't go out of their way to be unfriendly. You have to wind a Thai up a lot before they, when they snap big time. There's no grey area, it's black or white with the Thais. And if you push, keep pushing that button, eventually the alarms will go off, and that's when you'll see fireworks. And if you ever do get in that situation, I just wouldn't like to be in your shoes. So as far as I'm concerned, if you wanted to find somewhere that used to be like Pattaya years ago, you can only look in Thailand. The reason I always say Hua Hin, it doesn't have the action like Pattaya. You don't have go-go bars, but it's not Pattaya. It's very clean. You do have some good bars down there. I don't want to talk too much about Hua Hin because I've made lots of videos, well, several videos about Hua Hin, but that's why I say Hua Hin. So You know, where else can you go? I mean, I've got a list of countries here. Now, I'm in the lucky position that I've been to most of these countries. I've lived in them over the years. Admittedly, some of them were years and years and years ago, and I'm sure they've changed. And I'm sure people will write in and say, no, that's not right. That doesn't happen there. So just for fun, let's go through this list and compare it with Thailand and see if any of these destinations here would replace would replace Pattaya. I don't think you'll find a replacement. There is one country on this list that I haven't been to, which I'm hearing nothing but good things about, and I'll save that one for the end. So the first one on the list is China. Well, the less said about that, the better. I'm not going to be derogatory towards China, but if I don't speak about it, then I'm sure you'll get the message. Then there's Thailand. That's what we're talking about today. Malaysia. Okay, so what about Malaysia? I've been to Malaysia. It's predominant. It's a Muslim country. Most of the population is Muslim. I'm not saying anything derogatory about Muslim people, of course. All I'm saying is, if you know, things like alcohol is not so much in your face like it would be in Thailand. I was in Penang. I was in a place just over the Singapore border. I think it was called Johor Bahru. Very pleasant, very nice country. I enjoyed my time in Malaysia, but it's not Thailand. Okay, you've got South Korea and Japan and Singapore. I'll categorize these three into one group because you're just going to need very, very deep pockets. They're almost like Asian European countries. And if you think that doesn't make sense, what I mean is, when I was in Singapore even 20 years ago, it was so efficient. You know, you've got the underground system, you know, the trains, clean, efficient, on time, no litter on the streets. They used to call Singapore a fine city because you'd get fined for everything, you know, spitting on the street, dropping cigarette ends, everything. But it's a very beautiful country. Singapore it's a very, around Orchard Road. It's very vibrant and it's very nice, but you do need deep pockets. South Korea in the 70s, that used to be quite a poor country. They weren't doing very well at all. Right now, they're one of the richest countries in Asia. They produce a lot. They've got the big ports. Busan, which used to be called Busan, they have one of the biggest ports in the world. They emulate Japan. Obviously, the Japanese economy has done very, very well over the last 30 years, and now South Korea is the same. And if you go to South Korea, again, you will need very, very deep pockets. The Philippines. A lot of people live in the Philippines. A lot of expats choose the Philippines. Very, very beautiful country. Have I been to the Philippines? Yes, I have been to the Philippines, but it was around 1990, so I can't really I don't expect you to actually take any advice from me on the Philippines because it was a long, long time ago. What do I remember from the Philippines? I remember it was a very, very religious country. You'd have the jeepneys on the streets, the taxis, local taxis. They'd have stickers on them like Jesus drives this bus, and you know. Just a very, very religious country. Not knocking it for that, just telling you what I found. There was a lively bar scene, there was a lively night scene in a place called, I think it was called Makati, and that was all knocked down by the local mayor down in the 90s, and it came up somewhere else. The Philippines, for me, I didn't really get to explore the islands and some of the more beautiful places. One of the good things about the Philippines is most of the population have a very, very good level of English speaking. So if you're an expat who lives in the Philippines right now, maybe you can leave some comments and tell us the good points and the bad points. As I say, I might not respond back to you because I'm expecting a fair amount of comments on this video. But maybe you can let us know what it's like today in the year 2020, and of course I'm talking pre-COVID. We're not really interested in what's going on at the moment with the COVID because it's the same everywhere. Cambodia, there's another country I've been to. I enjoyed my time in Cambodia, but again, this was about 10 years ago and I didn't feel safe when I went there. I don't know what it was. I got a vibe where people say it was like Thailand used to be years and years ago, but I didn't find that. I found it, I can't find the words to actually describe it. I went around a few of the tourist places where there's an old school that was converted into a prison where they tortured people during the Khmer Rouge reign, and that was quite interesting and also very depressing actually. But it was quite interesting like that. I did go out to a few of the nighttime venues back then, but there was something about Cambodia, I don't know what it was, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I didn't feel totally safe and relaxed like I am when I'm in Thailand. When I'm in Thailand, I feel totally safe. Laos, now I haven't been to Laos, or however you want to pronounce it, Laos. Maybe you live there or you've been there, you can tell us a little bit about the country. Sri Lanka, obviously, that's another country I haven't been to as Nepal. I haven't been to Nepal or Mongolia or Brunei or Bhutan, so they're not really countries that come up that often when you talk about places that expats want to live. I mean, we're talking countries like obviously if you want to go and live in somewhere like Singapore, South Korea, you're gonna need deep pockets. But most of the destinations people are thinking of, people like myself, if they want to travel and have a good time and not have to spend lots and lots of cash, you're talking places like Cambodia, the Philippines, Thailand, Southeast Asia. Indonesia, there's another one. I lived in Indonesia for about 6 months. Again, it's a Muslim country. There's a lot of mosques everywhere. They do serve alcohol. They do have nightclubs. They do have bars. They did when I was there. I'm sure it's a lot more livelier now. But, you know, when you're living in a Muslim country, you've got to be respectful of other people's religion. And, you know, drinking alcohol is not a Muslim thing, as you know. So, you know, I don't know if that's Indonesia would suit you. Lived in a couple of places in Indonesia. I was in Jakarta twice and a place called Yogyakarta. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the country I've heard lots and lots of good things about, and that's Vietnam. I've never been to Vietnam. I've watched quite a few videos on YouTube about Vietnam, and there seems to be some quite lively cities. I'm not going to try and pronounce them here. You can find that out for yourself. But I think I'm 60 now, so I think I'm stuck with Thailand. I'm too long in the tooth. I'm not going to go off exploring other places. Whatever happens in Thailand, however expensive it gets, however cosmopolitan Bangkok gets, whatever happens, you know, it's branded on my forehead now. I've been going there nearly 30 years and I'm not going to change now. But Vietnam, if I was a younger man, if I was 30 to 40 and I wanted to explore Southeast Asia, I think Vietnam would be very high on my list of places to go. Apparently, and this is from what I've seen on YouTube videos, I can't confirm this, but apparently foreigners can own their own business, they can own their own property. It's fairly easy to get a visa. They don't put lots of restrictions. You can go there and get a visa, stay long term, and just them three things alone make it a very interesting destination. Go and have a look at some videos on Vietnam, the nightlife. It looks particularly good. I've heard the food is very, very good. Vegetarian food is quite popular with the Vietnamese people, and I like vegetarian food. I'm not a vegetarian, but I do like vegetarian food, and apparently the food is very, very good, very tasty, and very good value for money. So if you're looking for somewhere to replace Thailand, you might not do so bad as to have a look at Vietnam. Let's talk a little bit more about Thailand. Has it lost its charm? I don't think so. I think it's just developed, hasn't it? It's like every country around the world. I went to America once. I wanted to go and see Las Vegas, it was when the film with Robert De Niro, Casino, came out. I thought, let's go and have a look, and the Stardust was still there, and the other one they tore down a while ago. I forget the name of it, but it was very interesting. But I went a second time about 3 years later, and it had changed quite a bit. You could notice changes. So I think it's everywhere. I'm rambling on a little bit about this today, but the point I'm trying to make is I don't think it matters where you are. Countries develop, they come on, and Thailand is not going to not move forward in the future. If you've been there, if you were there 25 years ago and you visited Pattaya, then you go back tomorrow, obviously there's going to be big changes. The infrastructure is going to be totally different. When I arrived there in the early 90s, there was no BTS, there was no MRT, the traffic was absolute chaos. It was murder to get around. There wasn't as many taxis as there was now. Yeah, the Thai baht was very, very strong. I think when I lived there, when I first originally got there in the 90s, it was something like 78 baht to the pound. A beer in a go-go bar was 25 baht. So back to this guy's comments, where he ended. He said, "I believe that will be another beach in another country, so let's start the search." I wouldn't know where to begin. I don't think you will find a replacement for Pattaya. Pattaya is what it is. And as far as the staff not being friendly, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, they got guys, they work in these jobs day in, day out, week in, year in, year out. And they deal with drunks. They deal with guys who don't show them respect. And when they first go to Pattaya, they're probably very respectable. They're probably trained up well in the hotel. But when you're dealing with idiots day after day after day, eventually it's going to wear a little bit thin. And not sticking up for them, but I can understand it. So, as far as I'm concerned, Hua Hin is my choice. I don't like Pattaya anymore. I don't think there's anything wrong with Pattaya. It's still a great party town, but I'm 60 and it's just not for me anymore. Hua Hin is more calmer, let's put it that way. Okay guys, so I'm looking forward to reading some of the comments on this video, and I hope you found this one interesting. And if you do find what you think is a a replacement for Pattaya, then let us all know. But remember, it's not just about the beach in Pattaya. Pattaya has a lot to offer, good and bad. Let's see how it goes in the future. The only thing I'm thinking about is I had another message just quickly before I end this video. I had another message from somebody saying that I'd actually mentioned in a video that there's some this COVID-19, the vaccines, they're making some good progress here in the UK, in Oxford, and I read some news that they possibly might have a vaccine out around December this year, and I'd mentioned that in one of my videos, and somebody wrote to me and they said, you know, you're dreaming basically. We're not going to be able to get back to Asia for until 2023 at the very earliest, and I took that as very sort of negative. You got to kind of hope for the best, haven't you? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but you got to stay positive and just keep your eye on things. They let some Chinese in recently. I think they'll follow that up with more visitors. You got to remember, guys, at the end of the day, Thailand is a big chunk of its economy is based on tourism. Lots of thousands of hotels are hurting right now, and I'm not going to go over old ground. Everybody's talking about this, but we'll see what happens in the future. The next video, I think I'm going to have to do a relationship video, because there are guys writing to me saying, why aren't you doing any relationship videos? So I have got a few backed up. If you've got a relationship video you'd like to share with everybody, I'll change your names as always. You can send that in to me. Okay guys, thanks again, and I'll catch up with you soon.
สวัสดีค่ะ